gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Goodbye,
Montana looking, long in the end zone. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Little roller up along first. Behind the man. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight and the Mets win it.
Yes, welcome back to Sports and Sorts. That's right, episode 154. It is a Sports and Sorts Monday morning, and we go live on YouTube every Monday and Saturday at 10 a.m. So if you like our videos, please be sure to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Like it. Give it a little thumbs up as well. You can also find Sports and Sorts on iTunes or anywhere podcasts are played. I am one of the hosts. My name is Shane Moore.
And I'm the Brian Man.
And you can check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/ShaneAndTheBryman, or follow us on Twitter at Shane and Bryman, where we post all our videos. We post new news. We post that. We also let you know when the show might be moved due to scheduling conflicts. Like this weekend, it might happen. We might have a little scheduling conflict, so we might end up going a day early. But we will let you know that on the Facebook page and on the Twitter page. So if you would like to do that, just go over and, at Shane and Bryman, or facebook.com/ShaneAndTheBryman, and you can get information. And Clint is already in the building with woohoo! All right, so we have to talk about today. We're going to be getting the NFL playoffs. The wild card weekend has come and gone, and we also have some MLB Hot Stove news on the docket. So we got a great show. Let's go.
You are listening to Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bryman.
I need to turn my headset up here a little bit. I'm not getting the full of the Bryman's voice here, so I got to turn it up a little bit. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's not your fault. It's totally my fault. Nothing's your fault. It's all my fault.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, Cody Parkey.
All right. So
Poor Cody Parkey.
we had our picks for the playoffs, for the first round of the playoffs.
We didn't do so great.
2 for 4. It's not bad, but the games were so incredibly close that we picked against, they really were a coin flip almost. I mean, the Colts and Chargers both moved on as we expected. The Chargers almost did it exactly how I predicted. Even the score was close. I had 24-17. I was 1 point off, just 1 point. That's it. So close. But the Cowboys-Seahawks game was one of the most boring games I have ever watched. It was so boring. I was texting with you, and I said I had to take a half-hour break because anything
to walk away
would be better than my use of time than seeing this teams with no ball movement at all. It was just punt after punt after punt. And the one guy the Seahawks needed to stop was the only guy who had a good day, and that was Zeke with 140 yards on the ground almost.
Yeah.
But most importantly, tons of punts. 12 freaking punts.
That's a lot.
But I will guess that, 12 punts is better than being Cody Parker today. But sometimes kicks get blocked. So
you know what? So what's funny about Cody Parkey, too, is, and I texted you this last night, or I put it into our list, into the ad list, and so his kick was, as video evidence has shown, was partially blocked. But you know what, though? Still nobody's talking about that this morning. He's still a GOAT. Yep. He's still the bad guy. You don't want to know the truth, though, about that game? And look, if you're a Bears fan and you have a beef with Cody Parkey this year, I get it. The guy missed a combined 10 field goals and extra points. He missed 7 field goals and 3 extra points. So the guy and a lot of them have clanked off the upright. It's really, really, it's just horrifying.
It's getting out of hand.
It's horrifying. You know what's weird? I had this weird thought in my head last night. You know the movie Basketball, right?
Of course, I love basketball.
Yeah. Do you remember the line in Basketball where Al Michaels, I think it was Al Michaels, said because when the kid was dying, I forgot the kid's name. I think it was Joey or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember.
He was just like, boy, the Lord just really has it in for that kid. And all I was thinking of was Al Michaels saying, man, the Lord's really got it in for Cody Parkey. Because Cody Parkey, and what's ironic about that is Cody Parkey is like a devout man of faith too. And I felt bad for him. The ball it looked like somebody, it was tipped.
Yeah.
It was tipped, and it was funny too because he even said, he's like, when I kicked it, he's like, I thought I got it clean. He's like, I felt like I hit it really well, and it did. You could not tell though, in real time, I couldn't tell that it got tipped.
No,
but clearly there was some misdirection there. You know what's funny is if that was like a 43 or so yard field goal, if it had actually been from 50, I think he would have hit it. Because I think it was starting to curl back.
The wind was kicking it a little bit back.
It was curling back towards the inside part of the upright. And I think if it had just actually been from about 5 to 7 yards deeper, I think it would have actually eked in.
There are so many there's so many things. And if that ball even just was faced a different way when it hit that bottom part of the upright,
right,
it would have gone in.
Bounced in.
It was just everything was against Cody Parkey and the Bears.
Here's the big takeaway though, and look, you know me, I've said it before, I've been bullish on the Bears all year. I loved the Bears from the start. I thought they were a team that could have made a pretty deep playoff run here, maybe even gotten to a conference championship. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Yesterday's loss is 100% not on Cody Parkey. It's just not. First of all, the guy got 9 of your 15 points. If you're a Bears fan, the guy got 9 of your 15 points. So he's responsible for more than half of your points. Yeah. And up until that kick, he was fine. And he even hit the kick that he was iced on.
Yep.
So
he probably would have hit this kick.
And I think he would have. If it had not been tipped, I think it would have gone through. Yeah. Bottom line is, the Bears had multiple chances in the red zone to punch that ball in yesterday, and they could not get it done against an Eagles defense that decided to bend and not break. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, but if you're the Bears, and I can't really I don't really know who to throw this on, because Mitch Trubisky made some nice throws in yesterday's game. He made some big-time throws at some big-time spots. He also missed a lot of throws, too, because he's not an elite quarterback.
Yeah, he missed a lot of throws.
But he very much put them in position to win yesterday with that drive. With the last drive. But I honestly, if you're on the Bears, if you're a Bears fan, shame on the offense, because it's really not completely on Cody Parkey yesterday. I don't believe it was. If you're the Bears, you got to do better. You got to get in the offense. You got to get in the end zone one of those times where you hit a field goal. One of those times you had to get in, and you couldn't do it. Because honestly, it would have taken 17 points to beat the Eagles, and if you had told me that the Bears would only have to score 17 to have won that game in advance, I would say, yeah, Bears are going to win. Bears are moving on to the divisional round. But it didn't happen.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough game.
But tip your hat to the Eagles too. Tip your hat to the Eagles. The defending champs, who looked like they were dead to rights a couple of weeks ago, are now in the divisional round.
Yeah, that great. I thought Matt Nagy's face after the game.
Oh my God, that was. After he missed the kick?
He was almost like Justin Tucker after he missed his field goal. What? It was sort of like it was sort of like a combination of bewilderment and anger, though. Yeah.
Oh, you know?
Oh yeah. He was angry.
Like, are you effing kidding me?
And I think that the absolute best picture of the day was I shared it with you last night, and you said you had seen it, and that was this one right here.
Oh, yeah, what was it? What is that called? What is that movie called again? Blind? Is it
like Blind Spot or Blind Bird or Bird Box? Bird Box. Bird
Box. Big Bird. Bird Box. Yeah, Bird Box. Yeah, that's being used everywhere, all over the internet. We're blindfolded.
That was a tremendous photo. I saw that and I was like, oh my Lord, that is just too perfect. But yeah, unfortunately for Parkey, I don't know if he'll ever live this down, and I don't know if he'll.
Do you think there's a
chance? Do you think there's a chance that the Bears bring him back next year?
No. Absolutely not. No, because there's, you know what? If that had been the only one that he had missed all year, I'd still say it's a coin toss. But the fact that he missed a combined 10 between 7 field goals and 3, that was the second most of any kicker. No, he's not going to be. He's going to be gone. What's the other irony in that too is that at one point he was the Dolphins kicker, and he had a good year. Mm-hmm. And I remember the Dolphins let him go because they couldn't afford him. And he went somewhere else first, though. Actually, I thought he went to the Browns before he got to the Bears. But I remember him leaving, and I remember thinking, oh, there's another guy the Dolphins just let go who actually was effective for them last year. Yeah. Turns probably wasn't such a bad move, but Cody Parkey, I do remember.
Kickers in general this year sucked. Like, it really was really bad.
It's been a bad year for. I mean, unless you're what's his name there, the guy for the Chargers. What's his name? Badgley?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
He had a good game yesterday.
What did he? He had scored 15 of their 27 points.
He did miss
23,
one, though,
15 of their 23 points.
Didn't he miss one?
I don't know.
I thought he was 5 for 6. Yeah.
Well, whatever. 5 for 6.
Pretty good. All right. So obviously the Chargers, they're moving on. We have. I had talked about the Cowboys Seahawks game a little bit as well. That was just kind of a. I don't get it. I'm not really sure what's going on with. It just seems so easy to take the Seahawks because the Cowboys they did it again. You know, they had a bad turnover, and you know Dak is just Dak, and he's not that great. But the Seahawks just couldn't take advantage of it, and it seemed like they just kept on trying to force the run on against this front seven. That's just one of the best front sevens in the league. Yeah. And they just couldn't move the ball at all. And they just wouldn't really let Russell Wilson be Russell Wilson, which and it's always shocking to me when they don't go with your strength against the team's weakness. And I don't know. It was just really shocking to me. But there was something overall that the Bryman hated this weekend. I'm not really sure what he hated about this wild card weekend, but I would like to hear what it is. He told me he hated something, but I don't know what it is. So I wish we were on delay so I could possibly hit some bleeps. I don't know how.
Well, no, I'm not going to swear. No. I've tried to swear off swearing.
That's good. Not in general, but just on the show.
One thing before I get to what I hate, though, I just want to touch very quickly on the Seahawks Cowboys.
Yeah.
You know what I was reminded of yesterday as I was watching that game, and the Seahawks are just trying to cram this running game down the Cowboys' throats, and it's not working particularly well. And you have a guy like Russell Wilson.
Oh, so that's
No,
not it.
It's not it. No, it's not it. No, it's not it. You have a guy like Russell Wilson who is capable of beating you a number of ways. He can create his own offense. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball. He's one of the more accurate passers in the league. You have this incredible weapon, and you're just not utilizing him in a game that's a must-win game. I just didn't understand it. It was very odd to me.
Oh, yeah.
Now, let me get on to the thing that angers me. Baltimore Ravens fans. What a bunch of assholes you
Well,
I don't know if is that a swear? I guess it is. What a bunch of clowns. Baltimore Ravens fans have got to be some of the worst, not the worst fans, just some of the worst people on earth. Some of the worst people. I actually saw a video this morning of these idiots fighting in the stands yesterday with each other. One guy actually was thrown a few rows from like the upper deck down into like a few rows down. It was actually kind of funny, but oh my God, Baltimore Ravens fans are the absolute worst people. They're so bad. First of all, they are going to run out of town a guy who is probably not going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, but a guy in Joe Flacco who had one of the greatest, if not the greatest, individual postseason runs I've ever seen a quarterback have, maybe shy of a Joe Montana mid to late 80s run. Joe Flacco, if you recall, when they won the Super Bowl a few years ago, had a postseason where he threw 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and was the Super Bowl MVP. He put that team on his back.
It's not bad.
And he carried them to a championship. Okay. Joe Flacco has been nothing but pretty much a class act since he's been there. He not graciously gave away his starting spot to Lamar Jackson this year. But then again, if you're a starting quarterback and you don't believe your skills have diminished, or if you are at the very least in your heart and in your mind the better option than the guy who's going to replace you, then I don't have a problem with you being upset about that. In fact, I'd had a bigger problem with him just stepping aside gracefully and saying, "Here you go, kid, take my spot. It's cool. I'm fine. I've done enough in this game. It's time for me to move aside so that the young guy can come in and take my slot." No, who does that? But I have so many people gave crap to Brett Favre when he, was pushed out in favor of Aaron Rodgers. And, I think Brandon's on here. And I would actually like to hear what Brandon thought about that, because at the time, I didn't think Brett Favre was done. And then Brett Favre went on to prove that he wasn't done. He had a couple of great seasons in Minnesota. He was not good at the Jets, but he was he brought how many games did he win with the Vikings? I think they're like his first year. So didn't he win the division? Yeah. So he was not done. Now look, Aaron Rodgers is obviously great. He's won a Super Bowl for you. He's a future Hall of Fame quarterback. They went to the Super Bowl with Favre, right? The Vikings 1 year? No, they did not go to the Super Bowl. He didn't make it to the Super Bowl. He didn't? No. I thought he No, I think he got to the NFC Championship game and lost, but yeah, he did not make it to the Super Bowl. But man, shame, and then to compound that, Ravens fans, shame on you then for booing Lamar Jackson, who's the future of your team. Who I will grant you did not have a great game yesterday. He had a pretty decent second half. He really turned it on in the second half, actually. If you look at the side-by-side numbers there, first half compared to the second half, it was amazing.
But they were chanting, "We want Joe Flacco."
Yeah, I mean, they were. But they're the biggest bunch of fickle clowns you could possibly imagine, because they're going to run first of all, they're going to run Flacco out of town, and Harbaugh's probably going to be gone too, because they're probably going to trade him because they can probably get a ton for him. I have a feeling the Dolphins might pay the equivalent, whatever would be stupid money, whatever the Dolphins are going to trade stupid compensation to get him, most likely. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if it was like a first and a third rounder to get a guy like John Harbaugh. Mm-hmm. But if you love the guy and you think he's the coach that can help establish your team and get them on the right track, then a first and a third round pick probably isn't all that bad, especially in a year where there's no good quarterbacks to draft. But man, shame on you, Ravens fans. You're all a bunch of clowns. You really are. You're just horrible, horrible human beings. You've run Joe Flacco out of town, a guy who did nothing but bring you a Super Bowl, and then you boo the future of the franchise, Lamar Jackson. But you'll all be loving him in a year or two when he's helping you win a Super Bowl with that great defense, and he's, making big plays with his legs and probably makes a couple of, really great throws in a playoff game. Then you'll all love him and you'll be cheering him. We didn't boo him. No, we didn't boo him 2 years ago. We were mad at the team. We were mad at ownership. We were mad because John Harbaugh was going to get traded. And, we thought we should have won that game. First of all, I didn't think there was any chance that they were going to win that game yesterday. So, you could boo whoever you wanted. Let's face it, the Chargers are a better team. And you know what? The Chargers are a better team than the Patriots. Are they going to beat the Patriots? That remains to be seen. I'm not going to get into that prediction yet, but let's just say I don't see it playing out that way, unfortunately. But are the Chargers a better team than the Ravens? Yes, they were. They were a better team. They were the better team from start to finish yesterday. The Ravens put some points up late, but they were never really, I don't know, to me it never really felt like they were in the game that much, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
at the end, I guess towards the end there, when there were,
felt like there was a chance they could come back.
There was a chance, but
there was always so many. Jackson, like I had said last game,
it was an uphill climb for them the whole game, though.
And
when
Jackson
you get down
always
early,
seemed under pressure. He always seemed under pressure, and he was constant. And when he's under pressure, he's gonna make mistakes in this league, in this game. Granted, maybe a couple years down the road from now, he won't be making those mistakes. But as a rookie in this particular situation, he's gonna make mistakes, and that's why he fumbled.
Sure.
And he had a rough game overall, a rough game, but he did come back.
I can't fathom booing him. Now, I could understand if you wanted Flacco to come in because, well, first of all, I mean, it's just, you know me, I have like a love affair, which I have a man crush on Joe Flacco. I've loved Joe Flacco since the moment he came into the league because I like guys who are clutch and I like guys with big arms, and Joe Flacco is both of those things. And I just felt like Joe Flacco was the guy that gave you the better chance to win yesterday. Do I think they would have won the game? No, because the Chargers are a better team. Yeah. Would they have had a bigger chance to win that game with a guy who is playoff tested and proven? than a kid, yeah, I don't even know if you can argue that. I mean, you could say, well, Lamar Jackson, especially in the second half, played well, and he was able to, throw the ball a little bit more confidently. Maybe he shook off the first half nerves, but the first half nerves are something Joe Flacco.
It's funny. He played much better after he got booed.
He did. Well, probably because at this point he's thinking, man, it probably can't get any worse. It probably takes a little of the pressure off,
What do I have to do?
But the bottom line is, Ravens fans are just really kind of. I think they've had a reputation, and I think they're sort of supporting the stereotype out there that exists about them, that they're a bunch of a-hole clowns. They sort of proved it yesterday.
Thanks for
so good on you, Ravens fans. I'm glad we don't have to see you again until next year.
All right, so now next weekend we have the cream of the crop. We have Colts versus Chiefs, Cowboys, Rams, Chargers, Patriots, Eagles, Saints. Lots of good stuff going on here. Divisional rounds are upon us. I'm just going to give a quick one sentence tops about all these games coming up. Colts versus Chiefs. There's going to be points. It's just going to be a ton of points thrown up on the board. If there's not, then the Colts are probably up and they're going to get hurt because the Chiefs are going to put up some points. And the Colts are going to need to keep up. I feel like the Colts defense is so much better than the Chiefs defense, even though I think the Chiefs offense is probably a little bit better. Just a little bit, because they don't have that running back situation now. That the running back is just not the same, but they still have Kelsey. They still have Hill. They have many options to throw to, and Patrick Mahomes he's amazing. He's a magician. Cowboys versus Rams. Sean McVay needs to prove that he has the skill to defeat a top-notch 7 like the Cowboys. Like, he has not proven that he can beat a team like that, especially in a big playoff game. Like last year, he was a favorite to win, and they got destroyed at home, I believe. This year, we also have the Chargers versus Patriots. Rivers will need to get the ball in the end zone multiple times in order for them to win.
Yeah.
Chargers are 8-1 on the road this year, and Brady and company are 8-0 at home. So this will be a very interesting game to actually talk about, and hopefully we can get that later on this week. Eagles versus Saints. I think Foles' magic is going to run out here. I am predicting a double-digit victory for the Saints here. They've had too much time to prepare, and Foles, although they won and he made some big throws when they needed him to, he did not look good against the Bears. The Bears are an amazing defensive team.
Still threw a couple of picks.
The Saints have a good defensive team plus a dynamic offensive team. So
Nick Foles had a big drive when he needed to put it together at the end.
Yeah.
And he made the Golden Tate trade pay off almost instantly.
Yeah, that was incredible.
It took a while for that trade to pay off, but it did yesterday.
Yes, it did.
So
finally for them. All right, so that's all I have to say about that. Do you want to touch on anything on any of those games?
All I can tell you is, and I'm not giving any picks yet, what my heart wants is probably not what's going to happen. But what my heart really desperately wants is an AFC Championship game between the Colts and the Chargers. That would somehow magically be played in front of 25,000 people in Los Angeles. But I'll tell you what. There's one other kind of takeaway that I had from this week, and that is that the Colts are set up to be an absolute dynasty.
Yeah, we mentioned it last week. Yeah,
we did. I think that was actually you who mentioned that. And I will tell you this though: what's scary is I don't even know if they need Le'Veon Bell anymore. Marlon Mack is starting to turn me a little. I mean, the guy had 148 yards yesterday in a big game.
He's a solid running back. I mean,
he's
not
good,
a top tier, but he's a solid running back.
But he's not Le'Veon Bell talented. But here's the other thing to keep in mind with Le'Veon Bell. Now, remember, if the Colts want Le'Veon Bell, they'll be able to get him because they have an immense amount of cap space.
Yeah.
They may have either the most or second most amount of cap space available, which is really scary when you consider that they're a team that's in the second round of the playoffs. So the Colts are going to be, barring disaster, how are the Colts not going to be Super Bowl favorites next year? I can't even imagine how they wouldn't be.
Well, I mean,
they've got a young
Rams. You still have the Saints. You still have.
I'm telling you though, but if Andrew Luck keeps this going, I would say the more the Colts advance, the more they become sort of ensconced as Super Bowl favorites.
Yeah.
So now imagine if they win. Oh my God. And what a special story that would be too. Plus the tweets from Captain Andrew Luck would be completely awesome. Just unbelievable. Going, yeah. Oh my God, just unbelievable. But so that's kind of the other takeaway for me is how scary good the Colts are going to be. And they may meet their end this weekend. I don't know. I honestly, I have to think about that. I mean, we're not at the point where we're making predictions yet. So honestly, I can't say, but just the fact that
Andy Reid struggles in the playoffs,
just the fact that they are as hot as they are, and they're going into a very hostile environment. Kansas City is definitely, Arrowhead's one of the toughest places to play. We know that. But the fact that they're as hot as they are, having won as many games as they have to get into the playoffs and now advance into the next round, and to do so relatively easy this weekend. I mean, they dominated for the most part that game. I mean, they really kind of did.
They dominated and then just kind of took their foot off the gas pedal a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But I'll tell you, man, the fact that I'm even saying that I can't pick this game yet, that should tell you just how close of a match.
I know where my gut is right now. I know.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I know where my head is. I don't know if I know where my heart is.
My gut has an obvious pick here, but
yeah,
I'm not even getting. Can't even get into the head of this thing.
I don't want to get into it yet. Yeah. I don't want to get into it yet because
Cowboys Rams also. That's gonna be
see that one. That one, my heart and my head are in alignment on that one. So
I am too, but I'm nervous. I'm nervous about this Sean McVay. Like I'm not him.
Not with the Cowboys. I'm not
because they have won. They've been their trickery. The play action pass. That they have been able to dominate with, they're not going to have enough time.
Listen,
with that front set, they're going to be all over. They're going to be all over the quarterback.
I'm going to tip my cap to the Cowboys yesterday. What was it? Was it Saturday actually? Mm-hmm. They played a good game against a team that I thought was going to beat them. Mm-hmm. They played very solid. Dak was pretty solid when he needed to be. Zeke was a monster. Yeah. But they got the job done in a home playoff game. That's what you're supposed to do.
We both had the game within like 3 points. We both had it 20-17. So,
but that's only because I don't think the Seahawks are a big time scoring team. Right. See, I think when they go up against an offense like this, it's going to be lights out. I think they're going to get knocked out. And then the Cowboys are clearly not a team where if they get down by even 14 points, I just don't see it. I just don't see that they have that. No. And I could see them getting down very early. I could see them being down 14-0 by like midway through the first quarter. And next thing you know, Jason Garrett's, looking at the unemployment, listings. But that's not going to happen. He's going to, boy, that guy keeps saving his coaching gig for sure.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere.
Nope. The only game that I really feel like super confident in right now, and that's the Eagles versus Saints. That's the only one that I can really say. Like I just do not see the Saints.
I'm confident in that game, and I'm confident in Cowboys Rams. The other two, it's a toss up.
Like the Eagles turned around, they turned it around a little too late. They don't have a running back. Like that's gonna be a tough game for them.
Yeah,
especially at home. Against the Saints. Saints being at home, like that's gonna be really tough.
Yeah, the Saints are going to go. I think the Saints are going to go marching for sure next week.
All right, so let's get on to. We can switch topics here. Head on over to the MLB Hot Stove.
Sure, play ball.
There you go. Latest news: New York Yankees in the news again, signing Britton to a 3-year deal.
Yep.
Which I think is a brilliant move. I would love this move. This is a guy that I have been championing for since the get-go. I wanted him over Robertson. I wanted him over Ottavino, and that's who they ended up getting, which is great because I think
they may still get Ottavino. They're still heavily involved in
exactly.
him, so.
Yeah, so they still have the chance to get Ottavino. I think that I'm hoping that the way that everything's going, although it'll probably happen after I say this. The way that everything's going, I'm hoping they just stay out of the Manny Machado race. I hope they stay out of the Bryce Harper race. Like I said, I would be okay with them signing Bryce Harper, but if they stay out of this, then they just set themselves up for, one, having a little bit cheaper of an option, but still having an extremely talented player like Nolan Arenado on their radar next year. Yep. And they still have the money left over to be able to sign the big guys that are going to be coming up. Their contracts that are going to be coming up, like the Gary Sanchez's, the Luis Severinos, all those guys. They need to keep that money to be able to pay those guys. If you want them, if you want to keep those that young talent, everybody's talking about, oh, we need this young talent.
Yeah. Well, now, yeah.
There you
go. It's going to be put up for shut up time.
You can't throw $400 million at Manny Machado.
No, you can't. No, absolutely not. And let's be honest, he's absolutely, positively not a necessity for this team. He's just not. I mean, he's really not. Tulowitzki, it's going to be hard to assume. You and I both loved that move, but it's hard to assume health. But plus
we don't know exactly how good he's going to be still. I mean, everybody's saying this is the healthy he's been in years.
Right.
But he's not going to be that Colorado Rocky, shortstop for you.
No, of course
he's not
not.
going to be, a Gold Glove caliber shortstop, hitting 35 home runs, 130 RBI. He's not doing that anymore. But if he can do something like 18 home runs and, bat like 275.
I was going to say 275, 15 to 20, and 60 to 70 RBIs.
I would even like a little bit more than that, like 75 plus RBIs. I think
Fine.
I would like. Yeah.
All right. You'll take that though.
Uh-huh.
You'll take that, and you'll be not only take it. You'll be pretty happy with that. But Manny Machado just does not represent a need, and all he's going to do is clog up their payroll in future years.
Yep.
I mean, granted, you're going to have Ellsbury drop off after next year, which thank God, and that's going to free up $22 million a year, which is great because that'll take care of one of those guys. That'll take care of Sanchez, a Judge, or a Severino, or close. It'll come close to taking care of one of those guys. But then after that, Stanton's not going anywhere for a long time unless they can trade him for, a case of a big league chew. But they're not going to get much for him because that'd be a contract dump. Mm-hmm. But as far as Britton goes, great move. You bring a ground ball pitcher back to Yankee Stadium, a guy who, especially towards the end of the season, pitched very, very well for the Yankees. Really kind of proved his mettle, proved that he could pitch in that sort of an environment. You want guys like that. Not to mention that it's another lefty to help balance out the bullpen. You've got Britton and Chapman now, and you've got Green and Betances. And, look, are they going to miss Robertson? Maybe a little. But to be honest,
I don't know. I just see him declining. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, listen, the guy was called Houdini, and that's because he often got himself in and out of trouble. At some point, as he gets older, it's just going to be him getting himself into trouble and very little of him getting himself out of it.
Yeah.
So, would I have liked him back on a 2-year deal? Sure.
I think we escaped. I think we escaped and probably
maybe dodged a bullet.
Maybe
dodged a bullet. But here's the thing about David Robertson. He fell a little bit out of favor with me too after this whole postseason fiasco with him and the bonus money. The bonus money for for voting against basically
the clubhouse
bonus.
Yeah.
That's just not going to sit well. And then, to be honest, I mean, getting rid of him or letting him go,
I guess most of them, there was a lot more than just him.
Well, it wasn't just him, but he was sort of the ringleader of it. But yeah, that's going to be the other problem too. And I saw a tweet yesterday that kind of resonated with me a little bit because it was like, yeah, Robertson is gone and he's on his way to Philadelphia, but he's like, what's going to happen though when some of these other guys, especially team leaders like CeCe and Brett Gardner, walk into the clubhouse in spring training, and they have to face these guys who they voted against giving a bonus to.
Maybe they just did a really bad job.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to step up their game.
Maybe. I don't know. But you know what, though? If you're a multimillionaire voting against guys like that, I don't know. To me, it's kind of like it's akin to giving less than a 20% tip to a waiter or a waitress at a restaurant. It's just kind of bush league. It just seems wrong, but I don't know. Listen, we don't know who the exact, other than Robertson, we really don't know who the exact culprits were.
Right.
There.
I mean, it obviously had to be a majority. So, I mean.
It did, yeah. Right. And I mean, but you wonder why guys even if CeCe and Brett did both vote for it, you have to wonder, though, why guys like that didn't have a bigger influence.
Yeah.
That was a little, I don't know, that was just troubling to me. It just, like I said, it just kind of came off as bush league. But look, from the business perspective of the Yankees here and the on-field product, getting Britton back, having him in a bullpen with Betances, with Green, with Chapman, you've really solidified the back end of that bullpen. I mean, that is a real strong.
The real good thing is that Chapman has a couple of player options coming up after this
He
year.
does.
So he could potentially be gone. And now you have somebody to kind of fill that void.
Sure. Sure.
Until you find other options.
And from the Zach Britton perspective, woo, tip of the cap to you, guy. You got one hell of a deal. Mm-hmm. I mean, the guy could potentially make $50 million if this deal plays out in his favor.
Yep.
But you know what? The money was good. He obviously made a ton of money. It also kind of shows you how much David Robertson may have screwed himself out of an extra year and maybe 12 to 13 million if he had not been representing himself. But
I think it's age.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, he's much older, and he's
34, right? And Britton's 31.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Britton's going to get taken to where Robertson is now. So
yes, exactly. So. But Britton's a perfect fit for Yankee Stadium. Left-handed, pitching to the big part of that park, and he's a ground ball pitcher. Mm-hmm. Now, let's just hope that the Yankees' defense, infield defense, which is not all that stellar, especially on the left side, let's hope that they do a little better because they're going to have a lot of ground balls coming their way. So,
Tulo's good.
Tulo is fine, assuming he's healthy and assuming his range is there. Mm-hmm. But Andujar, well, we'll see. I mean.
Andujar he's not great. He's one of the worst
great.
in the league. But
he
doesn't have great range. He just makes a lot of throwing errors.
He does make a lot of throwing errors. Very very nerve-wracking with the arm. It's scary. But listen, if you're a Yankee fan though, he's got a howitzer for an arm. But if you're a Yankee fan, bottom line, great signing. My feelings about Ottavino. I don't like people who are mentally deranged being on my team, and I think he's a complete and total head case. The more I think about that quote, the two quotes, one, I would strike out Babe Ruth every single time. Two, Babe Ruth would hit 140 in this league. Do you realize, the more time I've had to think about that quote, the more I actually despise it. Do you realize the other things that he's also saying when he says stuff like that? First of all, he's not just insulting Babe Ruth. He's insulting an entire generation of players. Because if you're saying that you would strike out Ruth every time, and that Ruth would only be a 140 hitter in Major League Baseball now, you're also saying that everybody who was at the level of or not as great as Ruth would be worse than him. Mm-hmm. Now that's pretty much everybody in that era because Babe Ruth was arguably the best player of all time, and he was certainly, if not almost definitely, the best player of his era. So you're not only saying Ruth would be a 140 hitter, you're saying everybody else would be. And on top of that, you're also insulting every pitcher from that era because you're basically saying that they're not really that they were really kind of not that great either. So, because if Ruth could hit 700 home runs off of that era's pitching, but you'd strike him out every time? What are you saying about those pitchers? He basically insulted everybody in the 20s, 30s, and early 40s. Mm-hmm. He's such an idiot. Why does anybody want this guy on this team? I don't know. Whatever. If they get him, they get him. I'm sure he'll be a perfectly fine fill-in for David Robertson. I think he's a mental zero, to be honest, but whatever. I'm sorry, I do. I don't want. I know a lot of people are probably thinking, you're really probably overstating all this because really, it's just words. But it tells me a little bit. It tells me a little something about the guy's mental capacity. I think he's a moron.
He's a little off.
I think if he took an IQ test, he'd either come up as dull or, less than dull. I don't think he's bright. I don't think he's a bright guy.
I don't know.
He wears the number 0. That actually would be the only cool thing about signing him is that it actually would be a Yankee player that would wear the number 0. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, he's an interesting folk. He's I don't know. I wouldn't mind him having him on the team, but I never saw him actually say that. I've read the quote. I would like to hear him elaborate.
He clearly said it.
I would like to hear him elaborate on
maybe the Yankees should have a sit down with him like they had with Machado. Well, what did you mean by the Johnny Hustle thing? Well, what did you mean when you said you'd strike out Babe Ruth every single time and that he would only go 140 hitter in baseball? Because if you're that great, why have we only started hearing about you in the last couple of years?
Exactly. Yeah.
You're already in your mid-30s, guy. So you're not exactly a spring chicken here. You had success as a pitcher in Colorado, which is an interesting kind of rarity. But beyond that, is there anything else you can tell us about yourself?
I know. I mean, if you look at his stats, I mean, he hasn't been great. I mean, it's just he's had like two really
good years. Yeah. And last year being the biggest one.
2016 and 2018.
He had a monster contract year. Good for him. Mm-hmm. Many guys have done it. Ricky Henderson feasted off of contract years.
Yes.
Except Ricky Henderson was also one of the 50 greatest baseball players to ever live. So
he had more than just good contract years.
Yeah. I mean, Ricky may have said a lot of stupid things, but Ricky was Ricky before Manny was Manny. Let's put it that way.
Yes, he was, and he's definitely better than Ottavino.
Yeah. No. There's a lot of guys who have been mouthy and said stupid things that are better than Ottavino. I don't know. I just gotta. You look as a Yankee, and look, if you're the Yankees, so this guy has insulted your George Washington on the Mount Rushmore. He's
not insulted our George Washington.
The George Washington. He's insulted Babe Ruth. I mean, if you wanted to say, listen, Babe Ruth was a fat, alcoholic, hot dog, slurping womanizer, okay, that's fine. I mean, that's been said a million times, and it's true, but to say that he would have been unsuccessful in this or any era is just downright dumb. Yeah. It's just stupid. Do you know the kind of I think you know the kind of monster Babe Ruth would have been in this era.
He could have been.
First of all,
especially in the steroid era.
First of all, he would have wielded a bat 10 ounces lighter than the one he wielded back in the 20s, which would have made his bat speed unbelievably amazing. Okay? And in this Yankee Stadium, do you know how many home runs?
He would have been in a lot of trouble, though.
Oh my God, he would have been in a ton of trouble. He would have needed like a handler. Like somebody would have needed to follow him constantly. You remember
he would have been a walking Me Too moment.
Remember like in the beginning,
been bad.
Remember, like the very first season of Arrow where like Diggle was like basically the bodyguard and the watcher for Oliver Queen. He would have needed a Diggle. Yeah. He would have needed a John Diggle follower. Somebody who was
the second time we talked about Diggle today. Right? You and I talked about it before the show, and now we're back to Diggle again.
John Diggle's made it twice in the morning's conversations. Yeah. But that, yes, Ruth would have definitely needed somebody, maybe multiple people to watch over him. He would have needed a
Team Arrow.
He would have needed a responsible entourage, also known as Team Arrow, to cover him. But let's be honest, with Yankee Stadium's dimensions, oh my God, he would have hit balls out of this park. I mean, he would have. Maybe not this particular ballpark, maybe the one before, because the one before was a little tighter.
Ball's coming in a little faster, ball's going out a little faster.
And the quality of pitching, which I think is not as great now as it was then. I think you had. I mean, I think
it's different, but
it's different. At best, I would say it's on par.
I think that the top tier pitchers are just as good as the top tier pitchers back then.
Yeah, probably.
There might be a little bit better because they've honed their craft a little bit more.
Yeah,
but I do think that there's like a wider margin of like garbage.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the Jason Shreves of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. Absolutely. There's some ugly bottom feeders. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's real.
That just stay in the league because they're lefties.
Well, yeah, right. Yes. Whoa, jeez. We wouldn't hear that name ever again, but whatever. But yeah, no, Ruth would have been a monster in this era. As would have any of the big stars of that era.
Like
any of those
Ted
guys.
Williams, he would have been great.
Ted Williams would have been. He's the greatest hitter who ever lived as it is. Yeah. I mean, all
Joe
of them.
DiMaggio would have been great.
Mays, DiMaggio,
Mickey Mantle might have been one of the greatest of all time.
Mantle would have been Trout in this era. Mm-hmm. If not, he would have been better. Mm-hmm. I mean, he just had it all. Mm-hmm. Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays would have been they would have been, they would have been
5-tool players.
They would have. Can you imagine the money they would have made in this era? $50 million easily, and somebody would have paid. Yeah. Yankees would have paid stupid money for both of them.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Imagine those two in your. Imagine Mays and Wright and Mantle in center. Oh my God!
No, a ball would have not dropped in the outfield.
No ball would have dropped, and that
lots
team
of
would
balls
have
been knocked out of the park.
and that team would have scored an ungodly amount of runs.
Indeed.
A lot of stolen bases. It would have just been unreal.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We're done. 45 minutes. Yeah. We're in. We're out. Thank you guys for watching, listening, however you took this in. If you watched it on the podcast, thank you for checking us out there. But we go live on YouTube every Monday and Saturday around 10 a.m. We will be probably changing the show this week. We might be going a day earlier. But if you follow us at facebook.com/Shane and the Bryman or on Twitter at Shane and Bryman, you can we'll keep you up to date on what we're going to be doing and when we're going to be doing it. And also, you can follow me on Twitter at Einhornersfinkel.
You can get me on Twitter at _Bry_man.
And you can. I gotta pull this up real quick. So speaking of following the Bryman on Twitter, he posted a little comment earlier today, and I gotta pull it up here.
Yeah, you really enjoyed this tweet, didn't you?
I did. I really did I enjoyed it. It made me laugh out loud, and that's the reason why I posted the comment that I did. Let me see if I can. I don't even have to. I just put in the, and your name pops up. All right. So, Bryman says, "Is anyone else as oddly excited as I am to see who wins the Manny Machado prediction war between Jeff Evans MLB, a guy with less followers than me, and Dan Clark Sports, who has made more erroneous calls than Cody Parkey has missed-kicked field goals?" Hashtag Yankees, hashtag Phillies, hashtag White Sox.
It is funny because I have admittedly been keeping an eye on like the Manny Machado Twitter stuff just because it's so funny because everybody puts out these like fake, my sources say, tweets about Manny Machado, and I like reading them because I think a lot of them are really funny. Mm-hmm. But it's just hilarious because these two guys, Jeff Evans, who literally has, I think, about 179 or 180 followers. Okay. He shows up on a lot of these tweets, and he has doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down on that. Manny Machado has already made his decision to go to the Phillies. He's going to be a Philly. The only reason it didn't happen last week is because he had some personal issues that popped up, and it's going to get done this week. So, I mean, and he also said he actually did. So if you look back on January 3rd, he made a tweet about Zach Britton going to the Yankees. Well, here's the thing. Yeah, that happened, but that was after Robertson had signed with the Phillies, so Britton was either going to go to the Yankees or...
It was like 50% Yankees or
right.
Maybe somewhere else.
So the fact that you put that tweet out there and you only had 179 followers, you had nothing to lose. He has really, really been solid about Machado going to the Phillies. Just as much as Dan Clark has been solid. Now, Dan Clark is a little bit of a different story. He's got 20,000 followers. He's verified. He's been adamant about Machado going to the Yankees. Just as adamant as Jeff Evans is about him going to the Phillies. It's absolutely hilarious. And both of these guys have reputations that are complete and total garbage. So, I mean, like, if you look, some of the best part is the responses to the tweets from these guys, because they just get trashed. Wow. The internet just completely dumps on these guys, and it is, I'm sorry, it's absolutely hilarious. It really is.
No, I put your tweet up on the board here, just so people
Occasionally you are allowed to laugh at the expense of others, and I think these two are shining examples of that. The other one thing, real quick, before we go tonight, big news in wrestling.
Oh.
The one, the only, the incredible, the immortal Hulk Hogan is coming back tonight. That he will be kicking off the show tonight, and he will be honoring me, the late great Gene Okerlund, who was one of the, if not the best interviewer in professional wrestling history. Just an unbelievable guy. He became a part of the story every time that he picked up the microphone to interview a guy. He was just so special, and he really set these guys up very well in these promos and in these interviews to get the most out of them. He was great. He had an iconic look with the bald head and the mustache, and and that Hogan. The one that you just played there, the "Let Me Tell You Something, Brother." But when he was in front of Mean Gene, it was always similar.
Something Mean Gene.
Something Mean Gene. So, or I think it was, something Mean Gene. It would, it would go like that, one or the other. And it should be an interesting, plus there is that sort of interesting, how is Hogan going to be received by the WWE universe tonight?
It's been a long time, and
it's been 3 years. And there is, the internet is not a good gauge for this at all. No. Because if you go by the internet, you would think he's going to get booed out of the building tonight. He's in his home state of Florida, in Orlando. I suspect he gets a very good to great reaction. But we'll see. I'm very excited. Because Bell watches wrestling with me. I would expect that he would kick off the show right at 8:00. So, but Bell watches with me, and I was telling her when they made this announcement, I think on like Thursday or Friday of last week, and I was like, Bell, guess who's going to be on? She's like, The Undertaker. I'm like, no. I'm like, think bigger.
Bigger than The Undertaker?
She's like, what, John Cena? I'm like, John Cena? Are you kidding me right now? John Cena?
The Rock?
Hogan! Oh.
Think bigger. John Cena?
John Cena? The Undertaker?
The Rock?
Oh, Hogan? Oh, yeah. No, Melissa, so my wife's like, what, The Rock? Anyways,
think the biggest. Think immortal.
That's what I was saying. I actually said, I'm like, think the biggest. But I'm very excited. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. He's only been back once, really, and it was kind of like they threw him on that. They threw him as the host of that show in Saudi Arabia a few months ago.
Yeah. That
Crown Jewel thing that was really shunned by the by the national media and everyone in general because the event just should not have happened. But this is his actual first foray into being back in front of the real WWE universe in the U.S. So this it'll be fascinating. I'm curious to see the response, and then I'm curious to see how they utilize him going forward because I don't think this is just a one-off to honor Mean Gene. They've wanted to get him back in the picture ever since they reinstated him into the Hall of Fame on a more regular basis. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to try and do that. Well, and I think they're going to use tonight's response as a gauge to sort of say, okay, people are okay with him. Now we can use him more going forward, which of course they want to do because Vince knows that there's still money to be made off of that name and with merchandising. So,
well, there's one thing.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Oh, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how bold it is. I don't think it's that bold, but we'll see.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, watching, however you took this in. We'll see you again on Saturday, Friday, I don't know.
Friday.
Saturday.
Let's call it Friday.
Saturday, maybe?
Friday.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll let you know. Follow us.
Maybe at midnight on Friday.
Follow us at Shane and Bryman or at Facebook.com/Shane and the Bryman. Peace.
Stay classy, Planet Club.